I could have been hospitalized by a prescription change I never asked for. And the worst part is, it wasn't a mistake. It was approved in my name. It happened at a pharmacy I've used for years. A normal Tuesday. Fluorescent lights. Old ladies with coupons. A kid crying in aisle 3. I stepped up to the counter, gave my name, and waited for the usual little white bag. The pharmacist didn't move. He stared at his screen, then looked at me like he was trying to decide if I was dangerous or just lying. "This is double," he said. I blinked. "Double what?" "Your dose," he said, louder this time. "It's twice what you've been on. Are you sure you want it filled?" My stomach dropped so hard I almost grabbed the counter. "This isn't the kind of medication you casually double. It can mess with your heart rate, your balance, your focus. It can make you foggy, shaky, and useless. And if you work in a regulated job like I do, the wrong side effect at the wrong time doesn't just hurt you. It can end your career." "I didn't change anything," I said. He tapped the screen. It was authorized. Authorized. That one word told me everything. Someone had spoken for me. Someone had made a decision about what goes into my body. And the system was treating it like I asked for it. He turned the monitor slightly so I could see it. Same doctor, same medication, same pharmacy, just a new dose, submitted 2 days ago. Marked as patient initiated. Then he added the line that made my hands go cold. "It came through the portal," he said. "2-factor verified." Portal. 2-factor. That meant it wasn't a typo. It meant someone had access. And if I'd just trusted the bag and taken it like normal, I would have been the one blamed for whatever happened next. I'm 34. I work in project management for a medical device company. My whole job is being calm and credible. And now I was standing in a pharmacy getting treated like the kind of person who chases pills. In my car, I stared at the printout. Patient initiated. I did the dumbest thing. I called my boyfriend. Ethan answered, cheerful. "Hey babe, something happened at the pharmacy," I said. My dose was doubled. Someone requested it. They said my doctor confirmed it. Silence. Then, "Okay, that's weird. Do you know anything about it?" I asked. His tone sharpened immediately. "Why would I know anything about your meds? I'm just asking," I said. "I'm scared." He sighed. "It's probably a mistake. They printed it," I said. "It says I requested an increase." Then he said, "Then maybe you did and forgot." That was the second humiliation. Small. Quiet. Poisonous. "I didn't forget," I said. "Babe," he said, gentle in a way that made me feel smaller, "you get worked up and then you hyperfixate. You know that." I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. I drove straight to my doctor's office. No appointment. No warning. Just me and a paper in my hand. At the front desk I slid the printout over. "This refill request is fraudulent." The receptionist's smile twitched. She disappeared and came back with a nurse who looked at me like she was deciding if I was safe. "Let's step into a room," she said. Inside the exam room, she turned a screen toward me. There was a message. From my account. "Hi, Dr. Saito. I've been feeling like my dose isn't doing much lately. I'm struggling. Can we increase it? Thank you. Maya." My skin prickled. "That's not how I write," I said. "It came from your portal," the nurse said. 2-factor verified." I swallowed. "Can you see the login details?" She clicked around, frowning. "It says iPhone. And it says local." Local. Not a hacker overseas. Someone near me. Someone who could be in my apartment. My mind flashed to Ethan knowing my passcode without ever asking. "I need this corrected," I said. "This makes me look like I'm abusing medication." "We can send a note to the doctor," she said. "And you should change your passwords." I walked out with printed logs and the message history. I drove back to work and tried to act normal. At 11:17 a.m., my insurance app buzzed. New claim processed. Telehealth visit. 2 days ago. I stared at the details. Someone didn't just message my doctor. They billed my insurance and documented symptoms in my name. My hands started to shake. I called the insurer. They told me the same thing. "It came through your portal." I asked who verified it. "It would require your login credentials." I hung up and stared at the wall. This wasn't just a mistake. This was a story being built about me. And I felt it in my bones before I could prove it. At 2:06 p.m., My manager asked me to step into his office. He didn't accuse me. He didn't yell. He just said, HR received an anonymous message this morning. It suggested you've been having issues with medication, that you may be compromised on projects. My vision narrowed. That's not true, I said. I believe you, he said. But we work in regulated spaces. Perception becomes a problem fast. I pulled out the printouts and screenshots. He read them. Then he looked up and said, "This is serious." I nodded. Someone is messing with me. He asked if I knew who, and I wanted to say Ethan. But fear did what fear does. It made me cautious. I don't know yet, I said. He told me to take the next day off to handle it. When I got home that night, Ethan was on the couch like it was an ordinary Tuesday. "Hey," he said. "How was your day?" I set the papers on the coffee table. He glanced down. "What's that?" My portal message, I said. "My insurance claim. HR got an anonymous report about my meds." His face changed, just a flicker. Then he laughed. "This is what you're upset about?" My stomach tightened. I watched his eyes flick to the papers and away like he'd already seen them. I said, "Did you do this?" Ethan stared at me like I'd slapped him. "Are you serious?" "Yes," I said. He stood up. "Why would I do that?" "I don't know," I said. "But someone did. And you're the only person who's had access to my phone." He scoffed. "Maybe you did it and forgot. Maybe you're more stressed than you think." There it was again. Forgot. Unreliable. I forced my voice steady. "Hand me your phone." He froze. No. That was the third humiliation. Not public, but clarifying. I nodded slowly. "Okay." He rolled his eyes. "You're spiraling." I picked up my bag. "I'm going to my sister's." Ethan laughed, sharper. "Over a prescription? Over someone trying to make me look like I can't manage my own brain," I said. He stepped in front of me. "You're not leaving." I paused. "Move." He didn't. I tried to go around him and he grabbed my wrist. Not hard. Just enough to remind me he could. Control. I pulled free and walked out. At my sister Tessa's, I told her everything. She didn't blink once. "He did it," she said. "I need proof," I whispered. "Then we get proof," she said. I slept on her couch and barely slept at all. At 6:12 a.m., my email buzzed. "New login to your health portal." My stomach dropped. I opened the details. Device, iPhone. Location, my apartment zip code. I wasn't there. I was at Tessa's. For a second, I felt relief so sharp it almost made me cry. Because now I knew. It wasn't me. Tessa said, "Screenshot everything." Then she called her friend Danny, a retired police officer. Danny met us outside my building and said, "We're not going inside alone. We observe first." We sat across the street. At 7:03 a.m., Ethan walked out with a gym bag and coffee like he didn't have a care in the world. He checked his phone while walking. His thumbs moved fast. Then he smiled. My blood went cold. Danny said, "Okay. Today we take back your access, we document everything, and we file a report." We waited until he left. Then we went upstairs. Inside the apartment, everything looked normal, which made me want to scream. Tessa went straight to my laptop. She opened my email security settings and her face went tight. "Your recovery email was changed," she said. My stomach dropped. A random Gmail address sat where mine should have been. Then she clicked two-factor devices. A second device was authorized, named Ethan's iPhone. I stared at the screen until it blurred. Proof. Not vibes. Not fear. Proof. We took photos. Then we changed everything. New passwords. New recovery email. Removed his device. New authenticator. When it was done, I logged into my health portal and pulled the message history. There were more messages, not just the dose request. Messages about missed doses, mood swings, forgetting meetings. Someone had been building a case file on me. I felt rage rise like heat. We requested full access logs and locked the portal. Then we waited for the backlash. It came fast. At 9:21 a.m., Ethan called. I answered on speaker. His voice was sharp. "Did you change your passwords?" I blinked. "Why? Because I can't log into your portal," he snapped. There it was. Tessa's eyes went wide. Danny nodded once. I kept my voice steady. Why are you trying to log into my portal? He laughed softly, switching tactics. Babe, I was trying to help. If you were freaking out, you were going to make it worse. Help by messaging my doctor? I said. I didn't message your doctor, he said fast. Your phone was authorized on my email account, I said. I have screenshots. Silence. Then colder, so what? That doesn't mean I did anything. It means you had access, I said. His voice dropped. If you go to the police, you're going to regret it. My stomach turned. Is that a threat? It's a reality check, he said. You want your job to know you're having a breakdown? Because I can make that happen. My whole body went still. I started recording. You already contacted my job, I said. I didn't contact anyone, he said. People notice things. You've been slipping. I have portal logs, I said. You have screenshots, he snapped. Screenshots can be faked. I breathed through my teeth. Why are you doing this? He sighed like he was bored. Because you were going to leave, and you were going to tell everyone I'm the villain. So I protected myself, protected himself, by sabotaging my medication and my reputation. You endangered me, I said. He scoffed. Stop being dramatic. I didn't poison you. It was an increase. Your doctor approved it. Because you impersonated me, I said. He went quiet for a beat, then said, Careful, ta careful? I repeated. If you want to play war, he said, you're not going to like what I have. I asked. He exhaled, smug. Your reputation. Then he hung up. That was the pivot. Until that call, I thought this was a technical breach. After that call, I knew it was coercion. A person trying to rewrite my life while I was still living it. That afternoon, we went to the police station. I walked in with printouts, screenshots, and a recording. I filed a report for unauthorized access, impersonation, and threats. It wasn't a magic wand, but it was a number, a paper trail, a spine. Then I emailed HR. Short. Clean. Attached evidence. Attach the case number. My manager replied within minutes. HR scheduled a meeting and told me my record would reflect external malicious interference. For the first time in days, I could breathe. That meeting with HR wasn't a hug and a promise. It was a table, a notebook, 2 people who didn't smile much, and one question that made my mouth go dry. Are you taking your medication as prescribed? Denise asked. I stared at her. Yes. Any recent changes? She asked. No, I said, sharper than I meant. That's the entire point. Denise nodded like she was logging a data point. We have to ask. We're not questioning your character. We're documenting the situation. I wanted to scream that my character was the whole thing being attacked. Instead, I slid the folder across the table again. Pharmacy printout. Portal message. Insurance claim. Screenshots of login notices while I wasn't home. The recording of Ethan saying he could make my job no. Denise listened to the recording with her face still. Slater sat beside her, jaw tight. When it ended, Denise said, okay, just that. Then she said, we're going to do 3 things immediately. 1. We're going to flag your file so anonymous reports about medication are routed through legal. 2. We're going to restrict access to certain systems until we confirm you haven't been compromised. That's not punishment. It's containment. 3. We're going to offer you paid leave so you can handle the external threat. Containment. That word felt like being boxed in. I said, so I'm sidelined. Denise met my eyes, temporarily. Slater added, Lo, this is the safest move. For you. For the company. And honestly, it blocks him from using work as leverage. I nodded because I understood, but my chest still burned. Because Ethan wasn't just messing with my meds. He'd reached into my professional identity and tried to turn it into a question mark. After HR, I drove back to Tessa's and sat in the quiet. My phone buzzed again. Not Ethan this time. A coworker named Nina. Hey, are you okay? People are saying weird stuff. My stomach dropped. He'd already started spreading it. I typed back, I'm safe. It's being handled. Then my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered anyway because fear makes you reckless. A man's voice said, hello. Is this Maya Patel? Yes, I said cautiously. This is Officer Harmon with the City Police Department. We received a call requesting a welfare check. My blood went cold. A welfare check. I looked at Danny, who was in Tessa's kitchen making coffee like she lived there now. Danny's eyes narrowed. She mouthed, "Who?" I said into the phone, "I'm fine." The officer said, "We were told you may be a danger to yourself due to medication issues." My stomach twisted. It was happening. The narrative. I kept my voice steady. "I'm not a danger to myself. I filed a police report today about unauthorized access to my medical records and threats from my partner." Silence. Then the officer said, "You filed a report today?" "Yes," I said. "I have a case number." "Can you provide it?" he asked. I gave it. He said, "Okay. Thank you. I'm going to note that. We still have to verify you're okay." Danny stepped in and said loudly, "Officer, this is Danny McCall. Retired. We're with her. She's fine. This is harassment." There was a pause. Then the officer said, "Understood. We'll close it out." When I hung up, my hands were shaking so hard my phone rattled. Tessa's face had gone white. "He called for a welfare check," I said, voice thin. Tessa nodded slowly. "Because it's a perfect trap. If you get angry, you look unstable. If you cry, you look unstable. If you tell people he did it, you look unstable." Danny said, "This is why the report matters. Now it's documented as a pattern." My phone buzzed again. A text from Ethan. "I just want you safe." Then another. "You don't have to do this." Then another. "Please take your meds." My stomach rolled. He was trying to make it look like concern while poking the bruise he created. Tessa said, screenshot. "Don't reply." I did. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept replaying the pharmacist's face, the nurse's hesitation, the way Slater said perception matters. I kept hearing Ethan's voice. "I can make that happen." The next morning, I went to the doctor's office again with Danny. This time I asked for the practice manager. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I said, "My portal was accessed without my consent. A prescription change was requested under impersonation. A claim was filed. I have a police report and access logs. I need your office to document this accurately because the existence of that message damages my employment." The manager's eyes widened a fraction. She said, "We will lock your portal immediately. We will add a security flag, and we will add an addendum to the chart that the request is disputed and under investigation." I said, "I also need a letter stating that the request was not verified in person and that there is evidence of unauthorized access." She hesitated. Danny leaned forward slightly and said, "She needs a letter." The manager swallowed. "We can provide a factual summary." "Great," I said. On the way out, the nurse from yesterday caught my eye. She looked uncomfortable, like she suddenly knew she'd been part of something ugly. I didn't blame her. But I also didn't forget the look she gave me in that exam room. The look that said, "Maybe you're the problem." That afternoon, Ethan showed up at Tessa's. He didn't knock. He buzzed the intercom over and over until Tessa finally answered. "What?" Tessa snapped. Ethan's voice came through the speaker like he was smiling. "I'm here to check on Maya." Tessa laughed. "You're here to control the story." He said, "I'm worried. She's not herself." I felt my stomach drop. There it was again. Not herself. Tessa said, "She's not coming down." "Leave." Ethan's voice sharpened. "You're enabling her." Tessa hit the button and ended it. Then my phone buzzed with a new text. "Ethan, tell your sister to stop. She's making this worse." Then another. "Ethan, I'm not your enemy." Then another. "Ethan, if you come home, we can fix this." Fix it. Like he was talking about a broken appliance. Danny said, "He's testing boundaries." Tessa said, "And fishing for a reaction." I didn't give him one. Instead, I called the detective and added the welfare check and the intercom harassment to the case file. That's the thing about paperwork. It's boring. It's slow. But it stacks. And the stack is what turns a story into a record. 2 days later, HR called me again. Denise's voice was still neutral, but there was a new edge to it. "We've received additional contact from an external party." My chest tightened. "Ethan." "Yes," she said. "He emailed a general HR inbox expressing concern about your medication misuse and attached screenshots from your patient portal." My skin went icy. "He was using my own compromised records as evidence against me." Denise continued, "Our legal team recognized the pattern. We did not engage. But I want you to know he is actively attempting to influence your employment." I swallowed. "What do I do? Continue documenting," she said. and do not communicate with him through work channels. After the call, I sat on the couch and stared at my hands. This had moved beyond a prescription. It was a campaign. It was about control and punishment for daring to leave. Right then, I want you to answer something because this part matters. If someone tried to destroy your credibility by messing with your medical records, would you stay quiet to avoid drama, or would you fight it on paper? Because that's what he was counting on. Silence. Shame. Hesitation. I didn't give him that. On day 5, the detective called and said, "We can apply for an emergency protective order if he's making threats and using third parties." I said, "Do it." The word felt heavy, like crossing a line. But Ethan had already crossed lines I didn't even know existed. We filed the request. In the meantime, I changed everything. Not just passwords, locks, bank access, work logins, my phone number for account recovery. Even my streaming passwords because I suddenly couldn't stand the idea of him inside anything that was mine. I bought a new phone. I wiped the old one and put it in a drawer like it was contaminated. And for the first time, I realized something ugly. Ethan didn't need to hit me to control me. He just needed to make the world doubt me. Because doubt is a cage. The protective order hearing was on a Tuesday morning. A small courtroom. Beige walls. A judge who looked tired. Ethan showed up in a clean jacket, hair perfect, eyes wide like a concerned boyfriend in a movie. He looked at me and sighed, like I was breaking his heart. Then his lawyer spoke. He said Mr. Walsh has been trying to support Ms. Patel through a difficult mental health period. He denies unauthorized access. He believes she is misinterpreting routine clinical communications. Routine. Clinical. Misinterpreting. He was trying to turn the whole thing into a misunderstanding caused by my brain. The judge looked at me. "Ms. Patel, what is your evidence?" My hands shook as I stood, but my voice didn't. I handed over the access logs showing repeated logins from Ethan's device. I handed over the pharmacy printout. I handed over the insurance claim. I handed over the recording of Ethan threatening my job. And I watched the judge's face change, slowly, like a person realizing they'd been handed something real. The judge turned to Ethan. "Mr. Walsh, why was your device authorized on her email account?" Ethan's mouth opened, closed, opened again. He said, "She asked me to help her manage things. She forgets." "Of course. Forgets." The judge asked, "Do you have written consent from her?" Ethan's lawyer jumped in. They were in a domestic relationship. It's common for partners to share devices. The judge didn't smile. It's also common for partners to abuse access. Silence. The judge granted a temporary order. No contact. No third-party contact. No workplace contact. When the judge said it, I felt my lungs fill for the first time in a week. Outside the courthouse, Ethan stared at me with an expression that wasn't sad anymore. It was sharp. He said quietly, "You just ruined your own life." I didn't answer. Because he wanted words. He wanted me emotional. He wanted the clip. I walked away. That night, the portal access logs arrived. And when I opened that PDF, it wasn't just dozens of logins. It was a timeline. He'd started accessing my accounts the week I got a promotion. The week I started talking about buying my own place. The week I got more independent. Like my independence was the trigger. I forwarded the logs to HR and the detective. Then I did something that felt petty but wasn't. I sent them to my own email with the subject line, "Receipts," because I needed to see it, to believe it, to stop hearing his voice saying I forgot. Then the next what moment hit. My bank called. They said, "We've detected unusual activity on your credit line application." My stomach dropped. What credit line? They said, "An application submitted online. Today, with your information." I felt dizzy. He wasn't done. He was pivoting to money. He was trying to create a new mess to pull me back into his orbit. I said, "Freeze my credit. Now." I called the credit bureaus. I froze everything. I filed another report. Paperwork. Boring. Stacking. Ethan texted anyway, even with the order. He used a new number. "You can stop this." Then another. "I miss you." Then another. "You're embarrassing yourself." I forwarded the text to the detective. Violation of order. More stack. A week later, the detective called again. He said, "We interviewed your boyfriend. What did he say?" I asked. The detective's tone was dry. He said he was helping you. Of course, I whispered. He said you shared passwords, the detective continued. Then he said you must have forgotten. Then he requested an attorney when we asked about the threats. My shoulders dropped, not because it was over, because it was real. Lawyers don't show up for misunderstandings. HR cleared me formally the next week. Denise said, "Your record reflects external malicious interference. Anonymous claims have been disregarded. You're welcome back when you're ready." I cried after I hung up. Not because I was broken. Because I'd been forced to prove I wasn't. When I finally returned to work, Nina hugged me in the hallway and whispered, "I'm sorry." People talked, but it didn't feel right. I nodded. Because that's the sad truth. People will believe a neat story faster than they'll believe a complicated truth. Ethan's neat story was, she's unstable. My truth was, he accessed my medical portal and impersonated me. Only one of those fits inside a gossip-sized sentence. So I made mine fit too. Anytime someone asked, I said the same line. My ex accessed my medical portal and impersonated me. It's documented. No emotion. No explanation. Just a fact with a hard edge. Whispers hate hard edges. Then the final squeeze came, the one he thought would put me back under him. He sent my boss an email from a brand new address. Not HR. My boss. It was long and careful, full of concern and support. He attached a screenshot from my portal again. But this time, he made a mistake he couldn't talk his way out of. The metadata showed it came from his device, and his email header showed the sending IP matched his home internet. Legal loved that. The detective loved that. Because now it wasn't just access logs and my word. It was a fresh attempt to interfere with my employment after a court order. Consequences arrived quietly after that. Ethan's gym membership got canceled after he screamed at the front desk about privacy violations. A mutual friend told me he'd been asking around about my job and got shut down. His mother stopped answering my calls, but she stopped posting about mental health awareness too. And one day, months later, I opened my email and saw a notification. Case update. Charges filed for unauthorized computer access and identity fraud related to medical services. Not a dramatic arrest on a lawn. Not a viral video. Just a line of text that made my hands stop shaking. Before that update, there was one more moment that surprised me. Not a courtroom moment. A grocery store moment. I was in the checkout line one evening, tired, holding a basket with cereal and frozen dumplings like I was trying to prove to myself I still had a normal life. The cashier scanned my items and said, "How's your day going?" I almost said fine. Then I saw Ethan 2 lanes over. He was leaning on the cart handle, laughing with a woman from his gym. He looked lighter than he'd looked in months, like the chaos had fed him. He glanced up and saw me. His smile didn't fade. It sharpened. He said something to the woman, then walked toward my line like he owned the floor. My heart started pounding, but my body stayed still. That was the weird part. My body had finally learned that panic was what he wanted. He stopped beside my basket and said, loud enough for the cashier to hear, "You doing okay?" "You look stressed." The cashier's eyes flicked between us. Ethan gave her a gentle smile, the one that said, "I'm the reasonable one here." He turned back to me. "I was just telling people I hope you're getting help." My skin went cold. He was doing it again. Live. In public. I could feel the old instinct to defend myself, to over-explain, to sound emotional and messy, so I didn't. I looked at him and said, "Clearly, you're under a no-contact order. Step away from me." His smile froze for half a second. The cashier's eyebrows lifted. The woman with him stiffened. Ethan tried to recover. "Maya, I'm just checking on you." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I didn't shake. I said the same sentence again. "You're under a no-contact order. Step away from me." Then I turned to the cashier and said, "Can you call a manager, please?" Something in the word manager made Ethan's face change. Witnesses, documentation, consequences. His whole game depended on private spaces where he could frame me first. This wasn't private. He stepped back like he'd touched a hot stove. He muttered, "This is exactly what I mean," and walked away fast, dragging his cart like he suddenly remembered somewhere else to be. The cashier leaned closer and whispered, "Are you safe?" I nodded. "Yes. Thank you." I paid, walked out, and sat in my car with my hands shaking. Not from fear this time, from disbelief. Because in that one moment, I realized the biggest shift. He couldn't control the story anymore. He could still speak. But he couldn't make people believe him without risk. That's what the paperwork did. Not revenge. Not drama. It changed the cost of his behavior. And once behavior has a cost, control gets weaker. So when that case update finally came through, I didn't celebrate. I didn't post about it. I didn't call anyone and gloat. I just sat on Tessa's couch and let the quiet settle in my chest like something returning. Safety. Not because the world was kind. Because I finally had proof that what happened was real. Now my medication is locked in a small safe in my closet. My passwords are different for everything. My recovery email is my own. My two-factor lives on a device no one touches but me. And I don't feel ashamed about any of it. Because sabotage doesn't always look like bruises. Sometimes it looks like a portal message written in your name. Sometimes it looks like a dose you didn't request. Sometimes it looks like your own life being rewritten while you're still inside it. If you've ever had someone try to turn your own mind against you, you know how nasty it feels. It's not the loud stuff. It's the tiny edits. A message you didn't write. A claim you didn't file. A rumor that arrives before you even know there's a story. People think control looks like shouting. Sometimes it looks like a calm smile while someone quietly rearranges your life behind your back. And if you've been through anything like that, I want you to drop a comment. Not because I need sympathy. Because other people read those comments and realized they're not alone. And because silence is the tool people like Ethan count on. I'm done giving them that tool. My name is Maya, and this is what happened when I was pushed beyond restraint. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this story.